from that very timely conversation on the safety of students and pupils in schools from my colleague on the radio side, we now get into yet another very timely conversation, and this is on Mpox. And our topic of conversation today is addressing Mpox threat among truck drivers, just trying to address the threat of Mpox in truck drivers. And joining me for this particular conversation are two gentlemen. We have on my immediate left, we have Mr. Bernard Kadasia. He is the President, North Star Alliance. And then on my far left, we have Mr. Stephen Gishina, and he is the Program Coordinator, North Star Alliance, as well as the Medical Quality Control. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're doing well this morning?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Can we begin by just mentioning what North Star Alliance is all about?
Thank you very much. North Star Alliance is an organization that was formed in 2006. And the genesis of its formation was that World Food Program and a document logistics company called TNT, many of you will not remember that now, but it was a strong organization at that time, were active in ferrying food to the interior of Africa. And it became very clear that HIV was a threat to truck drivers and mobile communities in general. So they said, what do we do about it? And they formed North Star Alliance so that they could protect and promote the health of truckers, so that the logistics and chain does not collapse. And that was how North Star Alliance was started.
All right. So you have wellness centers on roadsides.
Exactly. So then the operational strategy was that in a cheap, or not cheap really, affordable, effective, efficient way, put along the corridor into the interior, from the ports, Maputo, from Durban, from Cape Town, from Dar es Salaam, put along the way points at which truckers or long-distance truck drivers can get health services. And so that is now the model we are using in Eastern Africa, from Mombasa into Goma, and also in Southern Africa through the different countries.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now that we know what the alliance is all about, let's get into Mpox. And I'll ask Stephen to just give us the definition of what exactly Mpox is.
Thank you, Vivian. I think everyone wants to know what this elephant in the house is.
Yeah.
The Mpox. This is an infectious viral infection. Ideally, it's an animal infections or animal viral infections, but sometimes it can close to the human family through some contacts with the animals. As my chairman, as my president has said, we are offering services to long-distance truck drivers. Remember that in one way or another, we have cross borders. You need to go and trade. You go and maybe to seek security in different countries. And with that, we have a burden of spread of diseases. This is where North Star Alliance is coming in to curb or to stop the spread of disease. So Mpox, and I think by yesterday, we had 5 cases in our country, and that's not easy. Remember the supply chain from Mombasa to the Congo or through to DRC, where we have the hotspots of the infections. We need to put more effort as North Star to make sure that all these drivers are screened so that they will not actually spread to people they interact with. Remember, a driver driving from Mombasa all the way to DRC Congo will interact with different types of communities. Remember, he'll have to stop, buy some water from a shop, recharge the airtime, maybe pop in a hotel and have lunch. Remember, they also have families along the road, the offloaders, the loaders, the mechanics. So that's why North Star is coming in handy with health interventions to make sure that this, the Mpox thing is prevented. And I think so far we are doing good. I don't know whether it's because of experience with COVID, that people are listening to the health department, that is the Minister of Health, from different categories, from the national level, county level, and to the sub-county level. So mainly North Star, it's doing the interventions with the well-skilled clinicians, well-skilled health promoters along the corridor. And as the President has said, we have set different types of clinics all the way from Mombasa to DRC Congo. Yeah.
All right. Now, 5 cases confirmed of Mpox. And you know, it might seem like a very small number, but considering that this is an infectious disease, and as you've mentioned, they interact with so many, we as human beings get to interact with so many people. So 5 is already enough for us to be concerned about this particular disease, that is Mpox. So maybe to you, Bernard, what are you doing? What are you hands-on doing, you know, as North Star to ensure that, you know, these truck drivers know about Mpox?
Well, so thank you very much, Vivian. I'll just go a bit and say we are, as North Star, in a very good position to do something about this. And the reason for that is that, one, the truck drivers are familiar with our staff. They are familiar with our facilities. They are at home. They interact with us every day. In addition to that, as we just mentioned, we have Kipevu, we have Wellness Center, Jomvu, and all the way Makueni, Mulolongo, Mai Mahiu, Salga, Burnt Forest, into Malaba, Namve, and in Tanzania and Southern Africa. So this is almost the place of call. They are used to coming to our clinics and getting information. But also they come to our clinics when they're coughing. They come to our clinics when they have a presentation, whether in this case a rash or a sore throat, whatever symptom. And we are there. Of course, we're working very closely with the Ministry of Health and also with other partners. But what it does is that we are probably among the first organization that can send a signal that here is something. Let me also say one thing that is very good with us. In our computer system, we are able to track and follow at what point the driver is and what are they reporting. Online, live, I'm able to see from Mulolongo or from Jomvu what is happening in Malaba to this particular person. So we are in a very good position to do surveillance. We are also in a good position to report any unusual happening. But they are used in general. I said we started with HIV. So they're used also to us sitting them down and talking to them about risks and also listening to them and their concerns. And let me say also, the beauty of the North Star model is that we do not address only the health of the truck drivers, but also the community. So we have a system of educating also corridor communities. And if there is anything they need to share, then we have the system for that.
All right. Maybe to you, Stephen, how is it transmitted? How is Mpox transmitted?
Mpox is highly infectious, and the way you can transmit is from animals. I've earlier said that it's a zoonotic disease, an animal disease. So you can contract actually from animals to humans through contacts, through feeding from those animals that have the disease, virus. And also something to note very well, it's a vertical disease. That means this can be transferred from the mother to the unborn child. So that's why we are creating awareness to the pregnant women so that we can stop the spread of the disease. Also from contacts, skin to skin, through kissing, it has also been identified to be a sexually transmitted infections. And also sharing of personal items, maybe at work, please avoid sharing personal items like pens, gadgets like laptops, phones, and so on and so on. Yeah.
So that's how it's transmitted from one person to
the
other, rather.
Yes.
All right. And maybe someone may be watching and wondering, why truck drivers, to be specific? Why is it important for us to address, you know, the spread or the threat of truck drivers getting the virus?
Well, first of all, truck drivers, unfortunately, are highly stigmatized. There was a time, I don't know if that has changed, but the reaction of the community to truck drivers is that they have been known to be the group that transmits, in our case originally, HIV. And so, because of their vulnerability, the risk of the exposure, and in the case of Mpox, remember, Mpox, Marburg, and even Ebola, and well, not so much COVID was from externally, but there is an epicenter in the case of Mpox, where we have the most cases in DRC, and we have and Burundi, and more recently in Uganda. So it's very much like the truck driver goes from Mombasa through Uganda, through Kenya of course, through Uganda, goes to Eastern Congo, and so they have touched the epicenter, and they come back. And so they are quite easily the possible way to carry, to transmit, or to carry, or to spread the disease. So it's what you can really call a key population in this aspect. Yeah.
So they are at a high risk
Absolutely.
of getting to contract that particular disease.
And I think if I'm not wrong, Stephen, the cases we have now, most of the cases we have so far,
they are truck drivers. From the statistics. And also maybe to add on what the president has said, the time the drivers have. Remember, at this time of the economy, we need, the traders need the drivers to make many trips, maybe from Kenya to Uganda. So they don't have time to go and seek for health services in interior areas. So as North Star, we've made it very easy for the truck drivers to access the health services along the road, and especially in transit towns, like the president has said, Jomvu, we have Emali, Machakos, we have Mlolongo, then we have Maimahiu, we have Salga, burnt forests, and we have Malaba. So the converted container clinics are just beside the road, just a few meters from the highway.
Roadside.
Especially, that's why we are calling it roadside wellness centers. So the time and the accessibility of the healthcare. Yes.
Okay. So what are the symptoms of Mpox, and are there stages to it?
Initially, in the social media, I think people were expecting each and every case to have a lot of rashes all over the body. Yeah. But the case definition as per now, it's any rash in your body. It can be a flat sore and eventually spreads and have some fluids in it. Another symptom is headache. And when you are taking the medicine, it's not going away. The hotness of the body. You've been to several hospitals and the fever is not going away. Then the general body weakness, you feel that you are waking up in the morning and you are very tired. And then joint pains and weakness of the body. And also something to note, it's when maybe you have symptoms of Mpox. Yeah.
Are there
I
stages
think
to
also
Mpox?
there is also sore throat. That's quite common as well.
Yeah. Okay.
The incubation is between 1 to 2 weeks. So it's, it doesn't mean that you don't have Mpox. So we have asymptomatic cases whereby you don't have any symptoms, you don't have any rash.
Oh, but you can transmit it.
Yes, but you can transmit it, yes.
Okay. Now, for let's look at the preventive measures, and maybe if you can just tell us what you're doing with the truck drivers to ensure that they are preventing themselves from, getting this disease.
I think I leave that.
Okay, Stephen.
I think I can assist
Yes,
my
please.
president. What we are doing is mostly awareness of the truck drivers, and this we are starting it from the company. Maybe we have several companies that we are working with in Mombasa. So we are making sure that our team is visiting the yard, maybe during morning hours or when they are resting. We just make aware that them aware that we have this Mpox disease, and they are at most risk population because of the nature of their job. Moving from Kenya to Uganda to DRC Congo, where we have the Mpox hotspots. So again, we are advising them to wash hands with clean water and soap, so that we can prevent the spread of the disease. We also are trying to tell them anytime you have any signs and symptoms, which we are making them aware, you should report the case to the nearest health facility. Again, in our roadside wellness centers, we have contacts that we have shared with the different types, with different companies, so that any truck driver on the way can actually contact our health team. Yeah.
I should add in this case that in the case of Mpox, but also generally the way North Star is working, it's a big collaboration. It's a big collaboration, and in this case, the Ministry of Health has done a great job, particularly around taking awareness, behavior, communication, change, communication, but also even contact tracing. So a huge amount of samples have been taken and taken to the public health laboratory, the National Public Health Laboratory, and together with us, together with all the players at the point of entry and all along the road. So it's also a question of referrals, sending on the basis of the information we have, then we can contact the relevant collaborator or partner within our system. Yeah.
All right, so there are many trucking companies out there. Maybe how are you working together with them, with the companies themselves, to try and avoid, or prevent rather, the outbreak of this particular disease among the drivers? Are you working hand in hand with the companies?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, the North Star Alliance was actually started by transport companies.
Yeah.
And that was on HIV. And this collaboration has continued. So we have, mainly for the trucking companies and governments, we have what we call the Northern Corridor Transit and Transport Coordination. It's a group, intergovernmental group. And then until last year, the chairman of North Star Alliance Kenya was also the chairman of the Truckers Association. And even now, we still have in our board representatives from the trucking company. So we have very close collaboration, working together at policy level and also at collaboration level. And we are going to do more. Later on, I'll talk about a conference we are organizing in December. And we want to bring everybody together. Yeah.
How long does the Mpox last? Does it have a particular time frame? Can we give it a time frame? Like, can one have it for an entire month before they are cured? Can one have it? Is there a time frame to it?
Yeah, it is. There is usually a time frame of between 2 to 4 weeks.
2 to 4 weeks.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So under medication, after 4 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks, one is completely cured of it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And of course, we have to confirm with the test. We have a very special, highly detecting test that we call PCR, polymerase chain reactions. That's it's 99.9% effective.
All right.
Yeah.
So what to do after knowing or finding out that you have Mpox? What to do?
Diagnosis to the when we declare the current negative. Yes.
Yeah. So my question was on, for someone who's just realized they have maybe the symptoms, you know, what do you advise after that?
So there's management.
Yeah, the management, like I had said earlier, you have to report to the health department at different levels. If you're in Nairobi, please visit to the areas that are available closer to you. And in this case, we are saying that it's from level 6 to level 1. Yes. Yeah.
Is it curable?
Yes, it is
curable.
It is curable. And some of the cases you don't need treatment actually.
Okay.
Especially the asymptomatic cases. But for symptomatic cases, we don't have a definite treatment. We only deal with signs and symptoms. If it's fever, we manage fever. If it's cough, we manage cough. If it's the rash, we manage rash. Yeah.
Right.
And the key point, I think, is also isolation. So you probably have heard on the media that the cases were isolated, and this just so that to manage
and we
infection
have
control.
Areas of isolations, especially along the Northern Corridor from Mombasa to Malaba. And I'm sure the government has advised us on how to do and where to isolate our patients after the diagnosis.
Okay.
Yes.
Is it time we get back to having our masks on every time we are in a public space?
Yeah, of course, the Ministry of Health is trying to enhance and request people to take necessary measures and personal hygiene. Remember, you are protecting yourself and also the people that you interact with them. Maybe at a public transport, at your working areas, and on the road, even in churches and public gathering. Yes.
Okay. Maybe how receptive are the drivers, you know, to this particular outbreak of Mpox? How receptive are they to information and to, you know, getting tested on the roadside wellness centers?
Yeah, you are in the clinic.
With the awareness that you have created. Remember, North Star was started in 2006, but in Kenya we started it in 2009. The awareness, the interactions, it has created a good trust between the truckers and the North Star family. Yes. And also we've been having a series of trainings, sensitization training to our healthcare workers on how they can interact and offer services to truck drivers. Yeah.
So while someone is on transit, they are on the road maybe, and they kind of figure that they may be having this. So the best way to go about it is find one of your stops.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
They stop very regularly. As I said, it's what you could call one stop.
Yeah.
We test their eyes, we test for tuberculosis, we test for high blood pressure, we test for STIs, we test for HIV. It's their home along the road.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you have planned programs. If you can just talk to us about these programs that you have.
Program.
We are having, like my president have said, we have a minimum service package for a truck driver. And one of the, maybe I can list some of the minimum package.
Yes.
Number one, a truck driver must be screened the BMI, the height and weight, because of the nature of their job. Remember, they don't have time to choose what they eat, what they drink. So we make sure that we test the BMI, the HIV testing, like my president have said, the STI screening, the TB screening and treatment.
Yeah.
Also the issue of HIV testing and treatment. And the beauty of it all, we use a model whereby they don't pay, so it's affordable and sustainable. Because North Star can't be able to do this alone. We've been collaborating with the Ministry of Health at different levels. Remember, we have 7 clinics along the Northern Corridor in Kenya.
Yeah.
So we collaborate with the specific counties, if it's Mombasa, Makueni, Machakos, Nakuru County, Uasin Gishu, and so on and so on. So we get assistance to offer that service. If it's commodities like test kits, the ARVs, the PEP and other drugs, the STI drugs, we get them from the Ministry of Health. So the model of the walk-in, walk-out actually attracts so many truck drivers. Yes.
All right. Mr. Bernard, you had mentioned earlier that you don't just work with the truck drivers, you also work with communities.
Yes.
So how do you go about working with communities, and which specific communities do you get involved with?
So before I expand, I can just say that, let's say in the case of Kenya, we had 150,000 visits in 2023. Out of this, 60,000 were truck drivers.
Okay.
And another 40,000 were female sex workers. And then 50,000 were community. So it's very critical that for the health of the corridor, talk of the corridor as a living organism, you know, it's cultural exchange, interaction, small trade and all that. For the health of the corridor, we must look at the truck driver and look at the health of the female sex worker who is really in close contact with the truck drivers, and the community which we've just mentioned, small traders. Stephen mentioned they sell water, they sell fruits, so we deal with all of them. Now what we do, let's say take the example, we just mentioned truck drivers. Those ones, they come into the clinic, we do the tests according to the package which Stephen has mentioned. But we also have what we call outreach. Outreach means that some of our staff, they go to the lounges, I don't know this word now, lounge, bars, whatever, at Salga or Rumololongo. They go in there, there's nice life in the evening. They are friends, our workers. They make friendship with the people who are there, the sex workers, the girls, and the truck drivers are having a good time. and they talk to them about risks, but they also give them commodities, condoms, and other, and even those who have not been to the clinic for some time, they recommend them to come to our clinic and can give them a welcome note, come to the clinic and see. So very close interaction. It's called outreach. What we also do is then we train others in the community whom we call peers, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Peer educators. Now these ones will continue as peers. You know, if you're a truck driver, you're more likely to listen to another truck driver. If you're a sex worker, you're more likely to listen to another sex worker. So we train peers, and they carry on the message of behavior change, risk management, vulnerability, what to do, referrals. They do that for us, and it works very well.
All right, as we almost come to a close of this conversation, maybe to you as a medical practitioner, what more can we do as a country to ensure that we stop the spread of this disease before it becomes a menace?
I think collaboration is the key word I'll use. That means that from the top level to the lowest level, the collaborations, the awareness, even at the grassroots level. Last week I had a sensitization meeting whereby I involve all the stakeholders, the police department, the Ministry of Health, the Nyumba Kumi heads, the administration, the border, the truck parks attendants, those who work at the car wash, the garage. So I think the collaborations and awareness is the key word to use here, so that we can stop the spread of Mpox, which might be a burden to the country and to the world at large.
So, Vivian, let me, I'll talk about for 1 minute about a conference we're organizing. But
yes,
before
please.
that, I want Stephen to also mention that he said after 1 month, you're probably all right. But I would like him to touch on complications, because we don't want everybody to say, well, okay, after 4 weeks.
I'll be okay after 4 weeks. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you, my president. I think common complications, I'll state them. Number one, I've talked of vertical transmissions. This is the mother to the unborn baby. Yeah. So some of the cases we are having stillbirths, or what we call miscarriage, for people to understand. We can have blindness. Remember, the rashes can come all over the eyes, and you get the cornea affected. It leads to blindness. And then the pigmentations of the skin can lead to permanent damage of the skin. And sometimes the issue of stigma and discriminations in our community. Remember, when you hear you have a case around your area, you are aware who is this and how I can avoid that person, so that I'll not contract the disease. Again, this one will come to mental disorder in our community. That's also a very severe complications of Mpox.
And lastly, also you can have a urethral, that's a urine system, can block. And you can also have rectal, which means your anal, you have problems. But there's all this developing from the lesions or the swellings.
So
can I talk about the conference?
Yes, please. Just tell us what the conference is all about and when it will be happening.
So you probably have already gathered from our discussion that we are a highly collaborative organization, but also recognize that health issues are complex and interconnected. And we work with the governments, we work with the police, we work with the truck drivers themselves, we work with the sex workers and the communities. So to bring all these people together to say, what is it that we can do to improve the health on the corridor, and also to improve livelihoods? For example, female sex workers, could they be helped to do other business? small business, what can they do? So we bring all this together with the Northern Corridor Transit and Transport Coordination team and the governments in Eastern Africa. We'll have a conference on the 2nd to the 4th of December. All the stakeholders will be there. They'll set the agenda for health, but also for trade and economic development on the corridor.
All right.
Register in September, you get a lower rate. After September, you pay a little more. Go to North Star Alliance website and register.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Bernard and Mr. Stephen, for joining us and shedding light on this conversation. This is where we end this particular conversation and where we also end Good Morning Kenya for today. Thank you so much to each and every one of you who has been tuned in. My name is Vivian Degwa, and right now I want to leave you with the weather update. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing. Goodbye.